Who are going to be Manchester City's main title challengers, the title rivals for the 24-25 Premier League season? Who's it going to be? Liverpool or Arsenal? That's been the debate. The top three kind of picks itself for this season already as Manchester City, the absolute firm favourites to win this Premier League title for a fifth time in a row. Just absolutely ridiculous. But with Liverpool sweeping Manchester United to one side yesterday, 3-0, with what looked like a comfortable victory on paper. And of course, Arsenal then dropping points at home to Brighton as well. So they've opened the door to Manchester City to get an early lead on the Premier League table at least. And I mean, you can't be doing that. You cannot be doing that to Manchester City at any stage of the season. But there is a long way to go. It's very, very early. But I think there's a lot of hype around Liverpool right now. And I think that's overhyped, in truth. I think Liverpool are really yet to be found out, to really be truly tested. And I continue that with Old Trafford. It's not a test anymore. They are a bang average side. They finished 8th last season. They were lucky to come away with silverware, in truth, because they shouldn't have even been in that final. And they got away with murder, Manchester United, in the semi-final against Coventry. You can't forget that. And they pulled out an absolute storming performance against City when we were kind of on the beach at that point, and it was a disappointing result. But you've got to look at the whole season of Manchester United of last season, and it's all carried over into this season. I'm not impressed by beating United 3-0. I kind of expected that, to be honest. But let's have a look at the stats to see how dominant Liverpool actually were. They weren't. They weren't that dominant against a very, very average Manchester United side. Now, the main stat is obviously 3-0, and those were gift-wrapped goals that Liverpool were handed yesterday in that 3-0 win, with Casemiro being at fault for the majority of the goals that Liverpool scored. But United had more of the ball, 53% possession over the course of the game. 8 shots to Liverpool's 11. Pretty even on the XG side of things as well, with the majority of that XG being found in the first half. Big chances for both sides. Liverpool had 6. United had 3 more passes from United. So I just feel like at 3-0, even at 3-0, I thought Liverpool just down tools. And that's just not what City would ever do. A Manchester City side at 3-0 up against a United side that's on the ropes, you would just hear that corner of Old Trafford of City fans demanding a 4th goal, demanding a 5th goal, and then a 6th. And we'd probably go and get it. Liverpool just chilled. They chilled. Szoboszlai taking the piss on the penalty spot with an opportunity to make it 4-0, and he's taking the piss. He could have sent your team top of the league, but right now Manchester City are top of the league, and it's that is going to cause the problems for Liverpool. It's that edge that they don't have that Manchester City have. I mean, who has the edge that Manchester City has? I feel like Arsenal are still the favourites, albeit on the table right now. You'd think, oh, you're crazy. Liverpool have got all the maximum points. But, I mean, first of all, the first game of the season, the first 45 minutes of the first game of the season was away to Ipswich. And it was an even game. I thought Ipswich put them to the sword at times, and it was a very, very close game. Liverpool definitely showed their class in the second half against Ipswich. They upped their game at another level. But I can't forget that first 45 minutes against Ipswich, that it wasn't that convincing at all. I thought it was a comfortable win against Brentford. I thought Liverpool absolutely deserved to win that game. But Brentford are far and away. They're not pulling up any trees in the Premier League. So they've hardly been tested, Liverpool. Whereas City have had to go away to Stamford Bridge. You've just spent a fortune. So there was a buzz around Chelsea with so many new players coming in. And we dictated that game. We dominated that game. It's just nothing but domination from City in all 3 games, in truth. Obviously, we then play Ipswich, who are maybe feeling a little bit sorry for themselves, having just come away from Liverpool beating them as well. But then we just dispatched them easily. After getting a little scare ourselves, a little blip in the road from Manchester City, going 1-0 down, but then bang, 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 3-1 within like 10 minutes. Just absolutely turned it up. And then, of course, Erling Haaland with another hat-trick, back-to-back hat-tricks. With a sensational performance against West Ham, and the team just dominated. There was that spell in the second half that West Ham, I thought, dominated. But you look at the 3 fixtures that the 3 sides of City, Liverpool and Arsenal have all faced. There's been big spells in the game for Liverpool. The second half against United, when it was like 2-0, I felt like United were getting chances. They could get back into the game. Even at 3-0, it was a bit sloppy from Liverpool, and they didn't capitalise, United, on little moments where Liverpool were opening the door a little bit to United, even though the game finished 3-0. I think that will be what the game's remembered as, Liverpool 3, United 0, and that's fair enough, understandable, but I wouldn't be too, like, buoyant about the fact that United have just been beaten 3-0. I'd laugh more at United than I would pat Liverpool on the back, put it that way. And then, of course, Arsenal dropping points against Brighton as well. Stupid decision from Declan Rice, whether you agree with it, a red card or not. The letter of the law says it is. You cannot kick the ball away, whether it's pedantic or being anal as a referee. I mean, that's the rules, mate. You can't do that. Red card, stupid decision. You've still got defenders on the pitch, by the way. You may have lost Declan Rice. You take off a forward. You play the same midfield. You play the same defenders. With 10 men, there's no excuse to having your two centre-backs part like the Red Sea and have Lewis Dunk from centre-back just split your defence wide open for Welbeck and João Pedro to go through and make it 1-1 within minutes of going down to 10 men. Credit to Arsenal, they were able to mount counter-attacks the other way, and they could have quite easily won that game. So fair play to Arsenal. They had the tenacity to create chances with 10 men. But they just decided to become incredibly open and vulnerable, and there's no reason for that because you've lost a man. You can still bring on another midfielder to replace Declan Rice, which is what they did, and then they just shore up the shop and see the game out and win it 1-0. But within minutes, it was 1-1. Head's gone. And that's the other side of it, which tapping my head, reminded me of the emotions that Arsenal go through. They were absolutely riding their luck against Villa, and they won the game 2-0, but we can't forget, Ollie Watkins missed 2 sitters. The first one was an absolute sitter in the first half. He missed basically an open goal. Then again in the second half with that header where David Raya getting all the praise for the save. A save that I think the athleticism to get back onto his feet is what impressed me most, but it was in reach, a reasonable save. Ollie Watkins has got to find the corner. There's so much of the net to aim at, and it should have definitely been 2-0 Villa before Arsenal even scored. Hands down. So they got away with that one completely. So I've not been convinced by either side, but focusing on the fact that Liverpool are the ones that are closest to us now with 9 points achieved, the same as Manchester City, only behind on goals scored. Arne Slot's come in, done reasonably well, of course, but he's not been tested. I don't feel the teams he's gone up against is a real test of his, what Liverpool are going to be about. What's going to happen when they lose, when they drop points? What's his man management style going to be like? Is he, as a manager, going to be tested? Yes, he will. He will be tested because Liverpool will drop points this season. How are they going to bounce back? Has he got that bounce back ability to turn around that losing feeling and pick up a dressing room's momentum and the aura around the dressing room, the feeling, the feel-good factor? Can you turn that around? Because that's what Pep's the master at, and he never gets credit for it, because we do drop points ourselves in the season, but how quick City bounce back. Normally, we'll go on, if we lose 2 games, or like even last season, we lost 3 games, we'll go on a ridiculous run. We'll go on like a 19-game unbeaten run, winning 18 of them or something ridiculous like that. We've done it countless times where we lose a game and then like, right, it just annoys us. It just annoys us to the point of anyone left in the wake. The fallout is just Premier League football clubs have just crumbled, and there's just this path of destruction left behind us after all these sides we've just wiped the floor with after losing because we're angry. And that's what I love about Manchester City. Have Liverpool got that? They're talking about the same squad that Liverpool have is the same as last season. Like, that's a good thing. I don't know, like, because Arne Slot's taken over this Liverpool squad that's very well established, and I agree with them, but I mean, they've not added to it. That same squad finished 3rd last season. So why is it a good thing that that same squad is still there? City have improved. They've had Chiesa. I think that's a good signing for them, and we'll yet to see what the impact he could have, but it's the same squad that finished 3rd. City have improved. You know, we've brought back Gundogan. We've signed Savinho. We've got younger players now that are stepping up to the plate. Enrico Lewis and Oscar Bob, who's injured and could be coming back for the second half of the season to have an impact as well. There's so many positives around City, and we are the lowest spenders in the league. So while Liverpool were trying to be the lowest spenders in the league, they haven't improved their squad to the same level that City have, yet we are still the lowest spenders in the league. Bottom of the league table, a league table that you want to be bottom of, and yet we're top of the one that actually matters, where the points are accumulated. So as much as I think Liverpool are still in this title race, and of course they are, I still pick them as 3rd. I still see Arsenal as a more well-rounded squad. And I look at Liverpool's midfield for that reason. And I think that's where Liverpool's fall short. I think you look at the defence, absolutely quality. You got Van Dijk, Konate, Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Quansah, Connor Bradley, Tsimikas, multiple players they've got in that starting 11 in their defence, and of course Alisson Becker as well, which is like one of the best keepers in the league, maybe the best shot stopper in the league. So defensively sound. Up front, people talk about what if Erling Haaland gets injured. We could say the same about Mo Salah, but again, they have options. They've got Luis Diaz, they've got Gakpo, they've got Jota, they've got Chiesa. They've got so many options. But I think in their midfield is where it starts to show a real sign of weakness. Szoboszlai, McAllister. And I feel that's their two best right there. I've just named them. Szoboszlai, who was fucking around with it at 3-0, should have made it 4. I mean, that level of, like, come on, you got to make that 4th and go top of the league. That killer instinct wasn't there. Szoboszlai and McAllister are their best 2 midfielders. The rest of you got Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott and Curtis Jones. I'm not frightened of Endo, Gravenberch. Gravenberch's a great physical midfielder. I think he's a good player, Gravenberch is. Elliott's a good technical player. Curtis Jones got tenacious attitude as well. But, I mean, all 6 of them, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott, Curtis Jones, which one of those 6 gets into Manchester City's starting 11 midfield? Go one further than that. You look at Kovacic, who, with everyone fit, doesn't get into Manchester City's starting 11. Do any of them, does Szoboszlai and McAllister get ahead of Kovacic? The way Kovacic is playing right now, I'm sure Liverpool fans will say yes, but they've probably not watched 90 minutes of Kovacic. The last 4, if you include the Community Shield, 90 minutes of Kovacic, he's been unbelievable. He has been absolutely sensational in a season where everyone's crapping themselves thinking, how are Manchester City going to replace Rodri? How are they going to cover for Rodri if he ever misses games? Well, we've started the season without him, and we've won every single game. You'd start Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva. Obviously then Kovacic behind them. Which midfielder in Liverpool's is getting ahead of those guys? Any of them? None of them. None of them are getting ahead of Manchester City's midfield. So front and back, no problem at Liverpool, and that's a dangerous front and back. They've got solid at the back, quality players with a goalkeeper behind them that's immense. Forward, goals galore, absolutely quality players that will punish you, as United found out, if you give them opportunities. But a midfield that can be bypassed, a midfield that does not ooze control to me. I feel like United just got bossed in that midfield by a very average midfield of Liverpool's. I don't think it's that impressive. You look at Arsenal's midfield, and I think there's a more solid, well-rounded squad there. I think Rice, obviously, who's now suspended as well. Odegaard. I feel like those sort of players that I'm naming, even Partey, who's not playing that well at the minute, I feel like that's got more solidity to it than what Liverpool have got in their midfield. I feel like where Arsenal are probably weakest is Havertz in that front, that number 9 position. But you've got so much potency on the sides with Saka and Martinelli and Trossard, who scored away at Villa. You've got impact players. Sterling's just come back, just joined Arsenal as well. So he's another wing option, another goal scorer potentially for Arsenal. At the back, the best clean sheets in the league last season, although they've conceded goals this season already. I just feel like Arsenal are more well-rounded, but it's the emotions of Arsenal that are going to struggle this season. So I think the worst enemy for Manchester City is complacency this season. So as much as Liverpool and the general football fan are going to look at Liverpool as the new, better challengers to Manchester City, I still think Arsenal will be the long-term challengers of Manchester City, because we're yet to see Arne Slot be tested with this new Premier League season, and for him it's new at least anyway, because he's not played football here before with a great managerial record at Feyenoord. But this is a big test for him, and I'm waiting to see how he handles a loss. I really am. I think that's going to be interesting to see how he can pick up the spirits of Liverpool, and when they get tested, because they've got Champions League football as of Arsenal, so all 3 teams are being tested from a fixture congestion point of view this season, and that's when the squads really get tested. And I just feel like, as much as they talk about the depth of Manchester City, in terms of numbers, we're probably smaller than most Premier League teams. But in terms of quality, having been the lowest spenders in the Premier League this season, I mean, it just gets sweeter and sweeter to be a Manchester City fan and to be top of the Premier League with the fixtures that we've had, that in particular that Chelsea first away game, and to go away to Stamford Bridge and comfortably win like that. You were expecting a big impact from Chelsea, but City dominated, mate. We dominated, and we've dominated every game we've played in. Away to West Ham as well, who Lopetegui, who just won 2 games back-to-back if you include the, of course, the Carabao Cup where they knocked out Bournemouth. So West Ham were riding high, and they did okay. And that's what Manchester City have done to this league now, where we're handing out pats on the back and attendance medals. You know, like when you're a kid, you get a medal for turning up. That's what teams are doing now. They're getting pats on the back for turning up against Manchester City. Well done for appearing. Well done for putting on your shirt and putting on your big boy pants in the morning and playing Manchester City. Well done. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's like, the standards. But did you win? No, City battered you. Sorry. No, City won pretty convincingly, to be honest. And that is what we've done to the Premier League. And that is what Liverpool and Arsenal have to compete with. And that's why they shit the bed, Arsenal, because they've dropped points. Because they know it's going to be so costly. Every single point dropped matters. And why I think Liverpool, having yet dropped points, we'll see how they bounce back when they do, because it's inevitable that they will. It's inevitable that we will, but we know we bounce back, and it's got the hallmarks of an amazing season. That's what it has. But I mean, I'm really excited about the season for Manchester City now going forward as well with this new system. I'm really looking forward to it. But who's your number one title challengers for Manchester City? Is it a surprise package? Do you see someone else coming in? I mean, Brighton doing all right. Surely not. Surely not. Have some wondrous Leicester-style season. Can't see that happening. That'll be a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction to think Brighton are actually going to challenge us. But, I mean, outside of that, it's Liverpool and Arsenal. No one else really is stepping up to the plate. But who's your favourite? Get in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City.